I have a few solutions for you on how to make digital drawing feel a little bit more natural. For those of you with a traditional art background who are trying to transition into digital art and drawing on an iPad or other digital tablet, and things just don't feel quite natural to you when you move your hand across the screen and it just gets stuck and it feels not great, I have a few solutions for you, and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of both. So I have two iPads here, an iPad mini and an iPad Pro, and both of these iPads I draw on differently. So even if you're looking at the iPad screens right now, you can see that the mini is a bit more foggy looking and the iPad Pro is way more glossy. So you can see that here. Oh, there's my face. Woo. The reason my iPad mini is a little bit more foggy looking is because this has one of those paper texture or paper feeling screen protectors applied to it. It is supposed to make the drawing experience on an iPad feel a bit more natural. And for my iPad Pro, which you can see is much glossier and does not have the same texture, I use these gloves, of which I have many. These are smudge guards, and when you put them on, they usually cover either just your pinky or your pinky and your ring finger, and they are meant to allow your hand to glide across the screen without getting stuck. First, I'm going to talk about these gloves, the smudge guards. This is the solution I've used the longest. I have a lot of different brands of these, mostly just because I'm always losing them and then finding them later, and they're very cheap, but they all work exactly the same. It's just a glove that goes over the fingers that do not hold the pencil. That way you can have the tactile feeling of the pen in hand and then this silky glove on your hand to move across the tablet. Honestly, this is probably the one I would recommend for most digital artists. The downside to the glove is that you have to be wearing a glove and you have to remember it where you go. But this is, in general, the solution I prefer. I don't mind the glossy feel on the tip of the pencil. What bugs me the most is the hand getting stuck on the screen. The smooth glide the Apple Pencil has over the screen itself is actually really nice. The other upside to using these gloves is, as you can see, the Paperlike Screen Protectors do put a different texture on the screen, which does affect how the screen itself looks. So if visual quality of your iPad screen matters most to you, then this is a solution that allows you to still use glass screen protectors, which will make the image behind the screen the least distorted or fuzzy looking and will look the best. The last big benefit, of course, is durability. This glove is not going to cause any problems on anything, aside from maybe if you suffer from hand sweat, that being a thing, but that's never been a problem for me. It'll honestly probably clean your screen while you draw, and it's not going to cause any damage to your iPad or your pencil. And a glass screen protector, if you choose to have that on your iPad, is going to not only look better longer, it will be more scratch resistant and provide a little bit more protection. Moving on to the Paperlike Screen Protector, the reason I applied that to my iPad mini is because my iPad mini is my notebook. This is what I bring with me everywhere, and sometimes I don't want to bring a glove with me, but I still want to be able to sketch effectively, and it was worth the somewhat downsides that I'm going to talk about to allow me to have that natural feeling drawing without the glove. So the biggest benefit to the Paperlike Screen Protector is that you don't have to put a glove on. It will always be on your iPad, and also the drawing itself with the pencil, how it feels to go across the screen, does feel a little bit more like paper. Moving on to the downsides of that, the screen itself is often going to end up with kind of a fuzzy appearance after this. It almost has like a rainbow effect on it. It's not crazy noticeable, but if you are a visual person, which if you're drawing a lot, you probably are, you will most likely notice it. It's not the end of the world, but it's there, and that's for all of these screen protectors. I'm using the Paperlike one, which is one of the higher end paper screen protectors, and even that one is not safe from this effect. Another downside is it is not a glass screen protector, which means not only does it not look as good, like I mentioned before, but it is harder to put on and it does not provide as much protection. Yeah, there are some bubbles. It is much more of a fingerprint magnet, and it also scratches a lot more easily just because it's plastic and not glass. So you are most likely going to be replacing these screen protectors somewhat frequently if you draw a lot. For me, the downsides were outweighed by the fact that this is not my primary drawing device. This is not what I'm looking at for high quality content, all that stuff. This is my notebook. This is what I use to take notes on at work and stuff like that. I haven't run into these problems yet, but I have heard of people needing to replace the tip of their Apple Pencil when using these Paperlike screen protectors for longer periods of time. Paperlike themselves and other companies that make these do sell other tips that could even make the screen protector itself feel even more natural, but also keep you from having to replace your tip all the time, or at least give you a replacement option that's less expensive than Apple's. But that is just another thing to keep in mind. So for me personally, the paper texture screen protectors are best used for note takers, people who are going to be bringing their iPad with them around more for productivity purposes, stuff that you're going to be doing in the office, in meetings, stuff like that. That's where I would get the paper texture as opposed to the glove and a glass screen protector or no screen protector. For those of us who care more about a clear image and our iPad screen looking as beautiful as possible, I would get the glove. This solves the problem of your hand getting stuck as you move it across the iPad, which for me is the biggest problem with digital art transitioning over to it, is losing that smooth movement of your wrist and your hand as it rests on the paper, and then just adjust to the glossy screen feeling that you get when drawing on an iPad. If you really value that texture of the point of the pencil on the screen, I would suggest looking at other tip types. That would probably be the best middle ground, is the Smudge Guard Glove and a textured tip as opposed to the screen protector. So in short, people doing long-term artwork at home and in more of a studio environment that you're going to be staring at the screen for hours upon hours, I'd go with the Smudge Guard Glove. For those of us just taking notes and using it as more of a productivity tool, I'd go with the Paperlike Screen Protector. I do use both, and I think they both have benefits and downsides. Hopefully this was helpful for you, and you can see some of the options you have when transitioning from traditional media to digital media, or just when trying to make digital art feel a bit more natural to what we grew up with. Be sure to stick around if you'd like to get some more digital art and design tips, as well as just see more artsy stuff in general. Bye-bye.